Hi everybody, Elin here. Today I come to you guys with my September wrap up. I ended up reading 9 books this month and some of them were really thick and some of them were really thin. But I'm going to tell you guys what I read and what I thought about them. So let's get to it. So the last book I actually ended up reading was Styxmärke by Hanna Blixt. This is a middle grade book and this happens to be the first book in a series called Äventyren i Sagafallen. So in this book we meet these siblings called Leo and Sophia, and they sort of try to escape from these kind of soldier peasants, and they enter a tree trunk pretty much, and then they end up in this magical land where the darkness is about to take over everything, and they have to go on this mission trying to win over the Black King. And there's a lot of magic, there's a lot of animals, and it's just really good. And I really like the characters, and I like the magic system and the world and everything like that. It was a really quick read, and it also has these beautiful illustrations, which is obviously never wrong. See if we can find anything. So I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. Now we have another really thin book, but that is David drömmer om Dracula by Johanna Glembo, illustrated by Åse Bergström. So this is obviously a picture book. This is made for 3 to 6-year-olds, and this is about David who dreams about Dracula. So he pretty much has a nightmare, and then his mother pretty much makes this her mission to get David not to be afraid of Dracula anymore, so they sort of create their own story trying to make Dracula less scary. And I really did enjoy this one. It has beautiful pictures, a really quick and enjoyable read, and I do like the concept of them trying to get away from the scary part of Dracula, making it into something more fun and hilarious, and I really did enjoy it. So I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I actually ended up reading 1 tome of the 2 I had originally planned, but the one I finished was The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 3rd and final book in the sort of original Mistborn trilogy, and this one just continue on with the amazing journey that I've started this year. The first book is about this Dark Lord who's been in charge for the last 1,000 years, and they are these Scar people has been treating like slaves. They're treated really badly, and they pretty much own nothing. And then there's this rebellion made out of the Scar, but also other sort of rebellious people. And the amazing thing about this book is the fact that the magic system is so cool. So in this world they have something called allomancy, meaning that certain people can inhale different kind of metals, and then they get sorts of different powers from it. And this 3rd book was really good. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of character development. I mean, these characters keep developing throughout the entire series. It never ends, and I love the magic system and the world and the characters. But this book broke me. The feelings. So obviously I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. And then obviously we have another Brandon Sanderson book, because why not? But I read Snapshot by Brandon Sanderson. This is a novella, so it's really short. As far as I know, this is the only book that is planned for this series. So meaning it's not a series, it's standalone, I believe. But in this one we meet Davis and what's his face, Chas. They're actually cops, but instead of solving crime out in the real world, they solve crimes in Snapshot. And Snapshot is pretty much a recorded moment from a day. So if someone commits a crime in real life, they're recorded in this snapshot, and then Chas and Davis can go into this recording and actually see what happened, and in that case they can find the murder weapon or find the person that shot someone and stuff like that. It's really hard to describe, but it's a really cool concept, and I really love the characters and the plot, and it ruined me so badly. I think they gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. And then I also read City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This was one of my most anticipated releases for this year because I love Victoria Schwab. But this is a middle grade book, and we meet Cassidy, and she can actually see and speak to ghosts, and her best friend happens to be a ghost, but her parents actually write these supernatural books about ghosts and stuff, and they actually get their own TV show, and they're supposed to go around to the most haunted places in the world, and of course Cassidy is supposed to come with them. So they end up, the first stop is Edinburgh, and there's a lot of ghosts there and there's a lot of history and stuff like that, and Cassidy obviously gets into a lot of trouble. So I really like this book. I love the ghost concept. I have not read a lot of ghost books, but I really did enjoy it. I love the characters. Like from page one I was in love with the characters, especially Cassidy's best friend, the ghost David, and it was really great, and I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then I actually reread a book this month, and that was Warcross by Mary Lou, and this is the first book in a duology. I read this one originally in February, and I had to read this one in anticipation of the second book, obviously. And in this one we meet Emika Chen, and she lives in this world where there's this game called Warcross, which is sort of a virtual reality game, and she makes her living from catching she's a bounty hunter, so she catches people. So she catches people that illegally bets on this game Warcross, and that's how she makes her cash. And she has to pretty much get several $1,000s in like 48 hours because she's about to be evicted from her apartment, and she does not manage to do that. So in pure desperation, she actually hacks into this big opening game of the Warcross. Everybody's watching, everybody knows what's going on, and she accidentally glitches herself into the game, and everything is turned on its head. So of course Emika Chen thinks that she will get into a lot of trouble by this, but that's not the case. She actually gets a call from the creator of this game, called Hideo Tanaka, and she actually starts working for him. So I really loved the book just as much as the first time. Obviously I love the characters, I love the world, I love the game part of it all, and it's just so cool. And I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, just like last time. Then obviously I read Wildcard by Mary Lou. So this is book 2 in the same series as Warcross. So this is supposed to be the second and final book in the duology. So this book pretty much takes off where the last one ended, and it was really good. I did still like book 1 more than I like this book, but it was still pretty darn good, and you didn't really know where it was going, what was going to happen or anything like that, and I really do like that about a book. So I think I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I actually ended up reading another book by Mary Lou, and that was Legend, and this is the first book in a trilogy, I believe, and I think it's called Legend, I'm not sure, but this is supposed to be sort of a dystopian novel. So in this world there's this sort of plague going around, and they actually put a lot of people into quarantine. To try to sort of, you know, get it from spreading. And we meet this character Day, and he's trying to take care of his family, but his family actually thinks he's dead, and it's just a lot of shit going on. It took a little bit of time to really get into the book, but I did really enjoy the characters and the plot and everything like that. It just was a little bit of a slow burner in the beginning, but I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And now we have one final last book that I read this month, which was technically the first book I read this month, but that is 10,000 Skies Above You by Claudia Gray. This is book 2 in the trilogy called Firebird. The first book is about this girl called Margaret, and her dad is actually killed, and she thinks she knows who's the killer, and it actually happens to be like her parents' apprentice, and her parents happens to be these sort of inventors, and they invented this thing called Firebird. And if you wear a Firebird around your neck, that means that you can travel through sort of different dimensions. So I live in this world, but I also live in a lot of different other worlds, but my life is completely different. But if I wear the Firebird, I can travel to my other body and sort of take charge of that body and live in that world instead. So her dad's killer actually uses this Firebird and travels into different dimensions, and since Margaret wants to catch him and make him pay for what he did to her father, she takes on a Firebird and tries to follow him. And I really love the different dimensions because there's like old Russia, and just they're living in a submarine. Like, so completely different, and I freaking loved it. And this was a really good continuation. It was really hard to try to figure out what was going to happen. Although I did not love it as much as the first book, I did end up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. So those were all of the books I ended up finishing. I also read about 110 pages of Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, but I did not end up finishing it, obviously. So I did not really follow my TBR very well this month, because I only finished one book that was on my TBR. But I mean, struggles. But yeah, if you have read any of these books, please let me know down in the comments what you thought about them, or if you're interested in reading any of these books, please let me know as well. So if you like this video, please don't forget to give me some thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the little button down below. And yeah, I hope we see each other next time. Bye!